Welcome to Behind the Glamour, the podcast where we get real about what it actually takes to thrive as an entrepreneur, actor, and in the world of real estate. It's not all glitz and glam. We talk about the challenges, the hustle, and the behind the scenes moments that don't make the highlight reel. My goal is to help and inspire you as we navigate life's ups and downs, all while building something meaningful. So, if you're chasing big dreams and want the real story, you're in the right place. Hi everyone, welcome back to Behind the Glamour. This is a solo episode today, and I'm going to share a little bit about my journey into real estate because I get asked about this all the time and how I got started and all of that. So I got licensed in January of 2018, which is insane. It's forever ago now. And I didn't know much. I mean, my mom was an agent. I knew a little bit, but she wasn't an agent in California, and it varies by state. So I started at before I was at the agency, I was at a different brokerage. Very briefly, I started there, but then I had the opportunity to go over to the agency because of a listing that I had. I had connected with Michelle Schwartz. She is one of the managing partners of the Valley offices. We have Sherman Oaks, Studio City, and Calabasas. So we had connected actually on social media, and I was like, oh, I was attracted to her page because I was like, she really seems to know what she's doing, and she's selling a lot, and she's selling constantly because she's always sharing, you know, the houses that she's in, the closet, the kitchen, whatever, and then just sold, just sold, just sold, just sold. And that has not changed. She's always just selling. She's always selling. And so I reached out to her initially for a meeting just to pick her brain a little bit because I was like, I'm brand new to this. I know nothing. I have no idea what I'm doing. And so she was kind enough to meet with me and a few other new agents at that time. And she gave us some tips, some tricks, some advice on, what we needed to do. And it was so kind of her because especially now that I've known her almost 8 years now, and knowing how busy she is, because I've been working with her and alongside her for this whole entire time for almost 8 years. And so knowing that I'm like, oh my gosh, I still look back on that, and it's so kind, and I really appreciated that she did that because it was invaluable. And that was our first in-person meeting. I remember this. It was like July 3rd, and it was so nice because right before the 4th of July. But she walked through the door, and I remember that she was in this like white button down, really nice button down, like really nice belt, very nice outfit, but like cute like tennis shoes and a bag. And it was like, oh, and she was really pretty. I mean, she is really pretty. She had side bangs, I think, at that time too. And she was just like super, I don't know what it was. It was like, I feel like before we officially, we hugged that in that at that meeting, and it was like I feel like our souls jumped out first, like what I call a soul jump. And I was like, oh my God, okay, this is a safe person. This is a nice person. Like, I just felt all those like good vibes. This is a genuinely nice person, which is kind of rare. Well, it's rare these days in general, but rare in the business that we are in. Also, she's just really nice. And so fast forward, I was going to, at the time I lived in Hollywood. Now I'm a Valley girl. It's much better. And I was going to a friend's birthday party, and it was like a 45-minute drive. So I hop in a Lyft ride. And when they asked me what I do, and so instead of saying I act and dance and sing, which I do, but I was like, oh, I sell real estate, and I just confidently said it. And even though I was like, oh my God, I don't know shit about shit, they were like, oh, that's funny. Well, I have some land that I've been wanting to sell, and I used to do real estate back before the crash. I was like, oh, that's cool. Just talking back and forth casually, and I'm just typing everything they're saying because I'm like, I don't know if this is like a real thing or not. And it ended up being a real thing. And so I was like, okay, well, I have a colleague that I work with, and I'll chat with them and I'll call you on Monday. So this was like a Saturday night, I think. And so I go to my friend's birthday party, have fun, whatever, don't think about it. And then, so I call Michelle the next day, having no idea she's in Cabo. She answered the phone. And I was like, oh my God, you didn't have to answer the phone. It's not like anything super urgent. Again, very nice because you're on vacation. You don't need to take time for this for me. And I had called her and asked if she wanted to co-list, and she was like, I'll tell you what, Linz, we'll co-list this, but I'll bring you over to the agency. And I was like, my jaw was on the floor. Luckily, I wasn't in front of her because it would have been like, what? So I was like, oh, okay, I'm okay, sure. And so I move over because I knew that I was like, I need somebody that knows what they're doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. I didn't tell them that. So this client has no clue that I'm pretty much clueless. And this was like a 300-acre piece of land that we were bringing to the market. So I knew that I needed someone seasoned that knew what they were doing that could teach me what to do. And so Michelle and I co-listed that with our colleague, who is amazing, Corey Kessler. So they ended up being the ones to sort of teach me different things about that, because I didn't know anything. And you're like, oh my God, the paperwork and everything's like scary and you're nervous about every little thing. That ended up being it's like $7 million listing. And don't get too excited if you're listening. You're like, oh my God, that's amazing. How lucky, whatever. It's not. That's how I came over to the agency, because I was like, I need people who know how to handle this type of a transaction at this level with that high of a price tag. And I knew that obviously anyone in real estate knows about the agency. So we ended up losing that listing. We didn't lose it. It ended up being withdrawn, whole situation anyway. So we couldn't market it anymore because of what happened. So that was very disappointing. but it was a good learning experience for me, and I think it was a great experience in real estate, and that it was humbling. It was like, oh, so you could get these listings and then you could lose them, or they cancel, or they don't sell, whatever. And so many scenarios. And now that I'm more seasoned, I'm like, well, this happens to all of us. Even though it sucks, it's really shitty. And, but sometimes there are things outside of your control. And in this case, it was that. And so Michelle was very kind to me, and she let me just pal around with her to so many different places. I remember we were in like Atwater Village, and she had this house, and there was some drainage, there was a hill. So I was learning about that because I was like, oh, and anything she said, I'm taking notes. I'm making mental notes. I'm writing it down later. I'm a serial note taker. I still am. And she knows that, because it's like, even if we're on calls, she'll talk more than I talk. And I'm like typing everything because I'm taking notes so we can refer back, because it's like, we're both kind of ADHD, or I am for sure. So I'm like, I'm not going to remember anything verbal. I like have to write it down. I'm super visual. So she would just like take me around places and be like, this is Lindsay and she works with me, and like she's shadowing, and I just all kinds of scenarios, which was good because I am someone who thrives being like thrown into the fire or thrown to the wolves or whatever those phrases are. And so it was really invaluable for me to be just tagging along and seeing how she operated. And I really admired her confidence, because I'm a middle child, so I'm a little more like reserved and shy sometimes, even though people are like, "What? You're an actor?" But it's the whole thing. But so I was like, "Wow, she's really confident and like commands the room and kind of takes control. I need to figure out how to be like that." And that's something I still admire about her. She has this ability to like, she could just go into any room and like make things happen. And I really admire that. I learned a lot just by being around her and listening to everything she was saying. And I've had so much support from her and from all of my colleagues at the agency. I feel really, really, really lucky and really fortunate to be there and to have had so much support behind me, because this is not an easy business. It certainly hasn't been easy for me. And I still, Michelle and I have worked together for a long time, and I still call her every day. I'm like, oh my God, this happened and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. What do I do? What would you do? What would you say? And many times there have been rude men that I've had to deal with, and I'm generally like, for me, it's like a little bit shocking. Sometimes I get shocked into silence. I'm like, oh my God. And she's had to like swoop in and shut that down. And she's been very helpful for me in those ways. It's not that I can't stand up for myself, but I just don't really like to use my energy in that way, because it's just tiring to be so combative. So I just usually like let it go. And she's been really helpful in that way for me. She's somebody that whatever she needs, I'm there. Like, she knows. You don't even have to explain it. Just call and I'm there whatever you need. And that goes both ways. I know I can be like, Michelle, this happened and like I really need help. I have no idea what to do. And she will be there. And we at first, of course, we didn't know each other. So like, but now it's morphed into, we have a work relationship and then a friendship. She's one of my best friends. She's seen me through a lot of shit and vice versa. And we just have a really special friendship and a bond that I'm beyond grateful for. She's like my life coach in ways. And I'm very grateful for that. And of course, you probably heard in earlier episodes that I lost my mom and I was young. I mean, I'm still young. I'm not that old, but I was 34 when my mom died. So that for me was like earth shattering. Still is. That's a whole other podcast in itself. But she was there for me through all of that and through so many tough things. I was run over by a car, which is insane, during the pandemic. And it was a lot of recovery and surgeries and all kinds of things. And she was really supportive through all of that. And I really wouldn't have gotten through that without her. And so many of my friends and colleagues who are my friends too at the agency. So I'm really grateful for that. And I think Michelle is just this like dynamic soul who is like, she's funny, she's really smart, she's well educated, she speaks Spanish also. She speaks a little Hebrew, I think. And she's just someone who is a good soul and a really nice person. And I think so much of her success comes from that, because people just love her. You can't not. And she's also born and raised in Beverly Hills. That is huge because she knows the city obviously extremely well. So she has so much knowledge. And in real estate, like there's still that you are constantly learning, and I'm still learning things because I'm like, oh my God. And things happen. Every deal's different. You're like, what do I do about this? Oh my God, this has never happened. I haven't seen this. And so she's extremely seasoned, and she's someone that she goes above and beyond. And for her clients, for the people in her life, she just shows up, shows out. Like, she's a rock star in so many ways. And she and her husband are just really, really nice people. They have the nicest kids and they're so polite. And I just feel very fortunate to be in their orbit and to have them in my life and to be in theirs too. And I think that if I didn't have Michelle and I hadn't met her when I did, I can honestly say I never would have been able to keep going with real estate, because of how high stakes it is, how like, people, it is cutthroat. I mean, no matter what people say, it kind of is. It's competitive, but the thing about us and about the agency that makes it stand out, that makes us a little bit different, is that we're very collaborative. And not to say that other places aren't. I'm only speaking from my personal experience for me at the agency because that's the only place I've really been. We help each other. There's a lot of support, and I very honestly can say I would not still be doing real estate if I were somewhere else, because I don't know that I would have gotten that. Of course, I don't have much to compare it to, but I love it. I think we have a good thing going. And Michelle is a really good person, and I feel so grateful that she's in my life. And I think she's taught me everything that I know. She still teaches me all the time because there are constantly things change, the paperwork changes, the laws change, and then we're navigating something new. So at least, it's there's never a dull moment in real estate, and it is crazy. It's chaotic. We deal with so much on the back end that nobody really ever sees. And luckily Michelle's very level-headed. She's very together because obviously she's a co-managing partner with Craig Nizick and Emil Hartunian, and all three of them are like they're exactly what you would want in a leader. They have those qualities, and I really admire that. I look up to them. Of course, I have a special bond with Michelle because of like she was my mentor because I'm still calling her all the time. And so I really look up to her, and I just feel very grateful that she was kind enough to sort of take me under her wing, because I was so nervous about everything, and I was always like, oh my God, what if this and what if that? And she's like, well, it doesn't, we'll just cross that bridge when we get there. Because I was always like worrying about like fake scenarios, that the what if, right? Because you're like, oh, it's so scary when you don't know anything and you have no idea what to do. And, it can be discouraging too, right? Because just because you are doing open houses and you're cold calling and you're door knocking and you're doing letters and you're doing postcards and all the things does not mean that it will all happen for you right away. It does take a long time. So it can be scary because it's not stable at first unless you get really, really lucky or you have insanely good connections, none of which I really had, because I wouldn't say someone that's been run over by a car twice in their life is necessarily lucky. But people were like, you're so lucky to be at the agency. And I was like, yeah, that's true. But, it's maybe it's fate, destiny, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I feel very grateful, and I really look up to Michelle, and she works extremely hard, and she shows up every day with a good attitude and just like ready to go. And I'm so thankful for her, because I was so lost, so lost. When I look back at myself, I'm like, oh my God. And I'm just beyond thankful for her. And it was like, at first I was like, oh my God, I don't want to be annoying, right? Like, I don't want to ask so many questions that she's going to be like, oh my God, I hate this person. But I will say, for new agents, you have to have a mentor. You absolutely need a mentor. You either need a mentor or you need to work as someone's assistant who can also be your mentor, but you get to do paperwork and you get a salary while you're trying to figure out navigating this insane business that is just crazy. It's crazy. It's chaos. If you like, every once in a blue moon, you'll get a deal that you're like, oh my God, that was such smooth sailing. I can't believe it. But more often than not, you will be stressed until that closing day, because anything can happen. It's wild. It's the wild, wild west sometimes. So I highly recommend finding someone like Michelle. I'm very grateful for her because she's been so good to me, and I would not be here without her. Yes, I put the work in, but she opened that door. And so I am just beyond grateful for that. So hopefully we will be hearing from her at some point on the pod for an interview, but definitely go check out her page at Michelle Schwartz Realtor. She's crushing it. I'm super proud of her, and I always look forward to working with her. It just makes my heart sing every time I get to, because we just vibe really well, and it's always fun. She makes it fun. Like, what can be a really stressful business, she makes it fun, and I look forward to seeing her happy face every day, and I love her so much, and I'm so grateful. So please go check her out. She's the best. If you need to buy or sell, hit her up because she will take great care of you. You will be in such good hands. I can tell you that 1,000%. All right, guys, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. As always, thank you so much for listening to Behind the Glamour. You can like and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, and stay tuned for the next episode.